Welcome to Where's My Sports At? On today's podcast, Jimmy and I are joined by our good friend Andries to talk about the game that was played yesterday or last night here in Perth in Ellis Park, Johannesburg, the Springboks versus the All Blacks. What a game, what a game. Welcome, boys. I'm looking forward to getting into this one.
I'm so gutted I've lost so much sleep from watching it, but brilliant game. Brilliant for rugby, brilliant for Andries.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. And yes, what a game. I thought for most of that game that the result would be different. Yes, obviously very pleased with the result, but for my nerves, it would have been lovely if the Boks could have changed that result earlier.
I could see that in the WhatsApp messages as they were going along. I feel the tension flow with the game in our messages, and for me, I don't normally have sugar in my tea in the morning, but this morning I was that bitter I had to put 2 in there just to get me along this morning.
Well played. Well played.
Okay, I'm going to kick us off. Jimmy, tell us what was going on in social media.
Well, we've had a few comments this week. Usually, maybe it's like about 20 or 30, but we've had 143 people comment. So thanks to all our fans out there and 7,900 views. So we must be doing something right. So we appreciate that. Firstly, to everybody, we're sorry about the clicking. We thought we might be able to get out in editing, but one of those things when there's a click beetle that flies through and attacks the mouse, sometimes it carries on going. So thank you to those fans that pointed that out to us. I have a couple really good ones this week and a couple really negative ones, but I'll start with the positive. One's from Shad Hamid, and thanks very much, Shad. Can we have a longer video, guys? You guys are great, and please reduce and eradicate the pen mouse and the pen clicking. Fair point. So that's awesome. We will try and do longer ones. Another one here is... there's heaps of things about our 2-0 predictions, but one that I really, really liked in here was Springboks have won 4 of the last 6 test matches against the All Blacks, but not one against the ABs at Ellis Park in 10 years. It'll be a cracking game. So that's from Justice 1902. Great comment, mate. You guys get 5 points for the leaderboard. I can't go through all of them because there's just so many, but one of the great negative ones that I loved this week, that third guy, Jimmy from Rotorua, and I love that you pointed me out and just like mentioned me, saying as a clueless fanboy with nothing of substance to add. No, I didn't have any substances, but I did add stuff, and I thought I was being quite critical. So that's all right. If you want to call me a fanboy, call me a fanboy. That means I love the game, right? So kudos to you. And that's from Rogue Luco. So Rogue Luco, you might be off my Christmas card list right now.
So maybe, Jimmy, we need to get you a supplements coach from the Essendon AFL team.
Oh, yeah. Is it icing sugar? Is it? Is it? I might send Latrell Mitchell a text. I'll see what he's up to. Trell, if you want to, bro, let's...
Oh, no.
And some of now I saw one person at Bali, Africa. Now this is another positive one. Their test guesses, or the guesses for the test match, really good. They said 29-17 to the Boks at the end, pretty close. That was 39-27, so that was cool. I wish I actually put a punt on at the local, we'll say, gambling place. We can't use their name because we might be taking them there. But yeah, really accurate. And then they've got for the second test 23-21. So at Bali, Africa, I might give that a go. Also there's one from Lennon Lawrence. Lennon, you've also commented a lot in the comments, and mate, you're actually pretty funny. And I like this with Guy in the White. There's no way you're coming to our country and leave with 2 wins, mate. It's pretty good. Proven to be right. And thanks to everybody that's commented in the comments there. We really appreciate it.
There was actually one, and if I can mention one that he just kept going. I don't know if you know if it's the same one. I think it was Rian Snyman. Snayman. He's a pretty keen commenter, so if you're out there, Rian, keep it up, mate. He was going on about some sausages, and even straight after the game, he took pleasure in going back to our comments from last week and giving us a bit more stick. So good for you, mate. Nice to see viewers from the Republic joining in and giving it to us a bit.
I wonder if that's Andries Neyman, who's had a lot of time on his hands since he wasn't in the team.
And that's one other thing from a couple other fans that said there that you guys in the All Blacks jerseys are biased. I just want to and I hope this makes you laugh. What gave it away? Was it the All Blacks jerseys that we were wearing? Did that give it away with our bias? Of course we're going to be biased if we're wearing All Blacks jerseys, or
well, I see you're unbiased today, though.
Yeah. Deep. We're going back to our roots today, Craig.
We are. And Rian, if you want to come to Perth, mate, Andries and I will put the braai on for you, and we'll have a beer. We'll have a castle and a braai with you, mate. So that's the good thing about rugby. Even though we can be the greatest enemies on the field, and you saw the players afterwards, it's all good, mates.
Yeah. It goes for Rotorua as well. Anytime you guys want to come over and have a beer and a barbecue, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, let's stop the chatter and get underway in the game review. So, throw it over to you, boys. Starting with you, Andries, first. Who looked good for you in the box, and who looked good for you in the Blacks?
In the Springboks, Peter Steph the toy is just an absolute machine. That guy's ability to just turn out game after game, and I think in terms of minutes played by a Springbok, he must be the Springbok that's played the most minutes in the last year. And I don't know if he had $1,000 for every man of the match that he's a trophy or award he's had, then he'd probably be able to retire rich now. He's just an absolute workhorse. So he stood out for me. Although later on with the bomb squad, I think that there was a change, and I actually think Grant Williams there stood out for me. As sniping, and his passing was quite crisp as well. And then on the All Black side, I think the result may have changed people's views on it, but I think it was the best All Blacks team that was put out, at least as a starting team, so far this year, and certainly Caleb Clark with 2 tries, he made a very big difference, and he asked a number of questions of the box in terms of defence. So, he certainly stood out for me.
Good. Jimmy?
Well, I'm going to take a bit of a different angle with a few things today, but I'm going to start with the national anthem. The chap, I don't see his first name, but he had a last name of Dutoy. He did both national anthems for New Zealand perfectly. And that's just something that I just want to acknowledge from a fan point of view. We had the terrible singer that sang against Fiji, and then we have this guy who was on point. What was going on with the ground announcer? Before the haka started, they were playing some silly song, and you heard this doof, doof, doof. The plane flying over it was awesome. Now, that took me back to 1995, even though I didn't want to remember that day. But seeing the plane fly over, that was just one of those great moments of rugby. And I think that was one of the things that Ellis Park and South Africa did well, was make it a true spectacle of rugby. Then from there, basically the intensity of the ground, like you could feel it. You could feel the blood boiling. You could feel the pressure from the crowd. Every half decision, every quarter decision that went South Africa against South Africa or went for South Africa, the crowd blew up. But that was awesome. It was the 16th man on the field for them. The 15th, and sometimes with the Springboks playing with one less player in the first half for a little while. But I hear you there with Peter Steph du Toit, Andries. he's got to be the closest thing to Richie McCaw from another country that there ever has been. Absolute workhorse. I'd hate to see what his heart rate would be, because I think he might be 1 beat per minute with how cool this guy is. Work rate everywhere and playing lock for albeit for 20 minutes, but he just absolutely destroyed us at the breakdown, destroyed us even before the breakdown at the tackle ball, destroyed us in the mauls. He was everywhere, and I can't fault his performance.
Well said, mate. Well said. For me, I think there are a lot of good players in the All Blacks. I think a few players stood up, and I think for a long period of the game we had the wood. So what stood out for me, I think TJ, the ref didn't like him. The ref sort of penalised him for being a bit mouthy, but I like he was bringing the vibe, he was bringing the passion, and that can amp the players up. So I didn't have a problem with him. Blackadder, he was like a man possessed. He was hitting everything. The guy is not the size of Eben, but he's got the heart of the bomb squad. He was just into everything. And Caleb Clark, as you say, Andries, he was busy, made a bit of a difference. Probably the most standout wing we had. Artie was at his normal game. He was aggressive. He was everywhere. And it was, for me, I was really enjoying having Sam Cane back. The guy is good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at the World Cup last year, things didn't go his way. But once again, he's a tackling machine. So that's who stood out for me in the Blacks. And that's not to mitigate guys like Tamaiti Williams and Terrell Lomax. They had a solid session out there in the scrum. I thought they did really well. Noticed things were a bit different when the replacements came on, but the Box also had the bomb squad then as well. For me, the Box, Sasha,
yeah.
I thought the game plan that we would use leading into this game would be helter-skelter rugby, because, Razor would want to try and throw the Box off the game. They've been playing a more expansive game. He'd want to throw them off the game, try and force them back to their traditional style. But Sasha, the guy, was just so super cool under pressure, and a few errors, but it didn't faze him. He was just stood out for me. You could see it. And then Jasper Wieser, he's like just a man mountain as well, and the Box team is full of them. He was everywhere. His defence, his work in the rucks was noticeable. And lastly, but not leastly, my stepson's favourite Bok player, Quagga. I think his turnovers, his running, his work, it's people like him who turn games. And it was noticeable the dominance from the All Blacks to the Box switched when he came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any good deals on television sets, but I think that JK may be in the market for a new television.
He'd be spitting all over it, going, boo.
After last night when the bomb squad came on. But yes, I think Quagga you mentioned, and that's certainly my preferred place for him to come on as part of the bomb squad at the end of the game, where there's a significant mismatch then between his speed and tired legs of players that have played 60 minutes of challenging rugby.
Yes. And I think of the bomb squad members, he probably made the biggest impact, because you had quite a few of them come on, and the Bok line out was a bit shaky. They lost some of the throws. They Marks was there, but it's, for me, Quagga was a real standout. The guy is just a machine. He's a workhorse.
He came on later, though, didn't he? After the bomb squad. So the bomb squad did their work. They blew the All Blacks up, and then Quagga just came on and then started absolutely, picking up the debris. And he started going through and taking the All Blacks apart when they were off their feet.
Mm-hmm.
The All Blacks need to come up with a bomb disposal unit or defusal squad. Because looking at that, as soon as I saw an article, Scott Barrett said we're in the game for 62 minutes. I actually think the All Blacks started going out of the game at 48 when the bomb squad came on. So they need to come up with a counter for that, and how to balance and attack the bomb squad and wear them down as well.
Yeah, I actually think that the irony is maybe that when the bomb squad was brought on, the All Blacks also started making changes. And I actually think some of those changes actually backfired because I think Blackadder was better value at the and his replacement didn't make as big an impact as Blackadder did.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I noticed.
Yeah, Finau, for me, is a player that dominates well when the All Blacks are on the front foot, but then when they're in that position where they're in the arm wrestle, I feel he goes missing. And I think the player to change momentum, and I've said this time and time again, would have been more balanced to bring Luke Jacobson on for Blackadder.
Yeah.
And that would have almost been a like for like replacement and could have started to push the box. Where Finau, yeah, he just didn't look like he was attacking the breakdown. He didn't look like he was going and, trying to do an offensive breakdown and get in there and start to push the ball over the game line. He just leaned in there, and I feel like he had a very limited impact on the game. Same with his defense. I felt his defense as well. It just seemed like he wasn't barring up in those moments. And that's where the All Blacks, if they are going to challenge a team like the Springboks, they have to bar up at those key moments, and that's going into the last 20 minutes where the Springboks barred up and they showed there what they could do to us.
But I want to talk about, do you have any players who you think didn't meet expectations?
Oh, it's going to be a long list. You ready? Nah.
You've got a word limit.
I think, good. Yeah, 1,000 words or less. I think the one of the things there, I think there that I agree with Andries. I think it's the right squad for the All Blacks. However, I think one thing there, TJ probably needs to come off a little bit earlier and get the fast speed coming off Cortez off the back. He's good to wear teams down, but he stayed on about 10 minutes too long for me. And it's no disrespect to TJ's game, because I feel there he was actually playing quite well, but he was playing quite well up until about the 48th minute. The other one as well I want to see Geordie Barrett's boot unleashed. Like, when you look at those midfield bombs, like Geordie Barrett's got a hell of a kick. Just get him to send it to the heavens in the altitude. Like, that would put the Springboks under a lot more pressure, and not utilising his kicking game is a bit frustrating, because you can see the All Blacks are trying to keep the ball in play. They're not trying to get to the lineouts. They're trying to keep the ball in field for long periods of time, and that runs teams down. And that's what I think there might be a good point of difference for them. Otherwise, like another player, Rieko Ioane, I feel he was just a little bit quiet for me again. But then again, I don't really know what I'm expecting from him, because he's delivering consistent performances, but he's not delivering that X factor that we'd expect from him. So those would be my talking points there.
Andries, what about for you?
It's interesting. I actually thought that the line-out count was pretty high, and the All Blacks surprised me by kicking, maybe because they were at altitude, and then trying to maximize that opportunity to gain field position. So the ratio of lineouts that the Boks had were much higher than the ones that the All Blacks had. And but that was sort of counterbalanced by Marx's poor throwing in the game, where he threw 3 balls right over the line out. So there's certainly a work on for him.
So he's the only one for you in the Bok team that didn't meet expectations?
Let me think. I think it was a proper test match. I think that needs to be said, because I was reflecting on that this morning. Is as a fan, you look at the game and you're frustrated because people don't execute things as you'd expect them to, and it doesn't look pretty. But that is actually a test match, because your opposition isn't allowing you the time and space to execute that. So, whether that's that half a second that you need, that is now no longer there. So, yes, I think both teams actually played an incredible game, and it may not have looked like it to many All Blacks fans, but I think that was quite an impressive display of rugby by a team that may have started to doubt themselves. I think, with the exception of Marx's throwing, there wasn't any obvious weaknesses that I picked up that stand out, where there was a player that didn't look like he belonged on the field. On the All Black side, I think the only one that I can think of is Talaya. They looked like he had a bit of a quiet game by his standards. I saw him on the field, but I can't recall anything that he did that was game changing.
He didn't have the oil on this time, I think.
I thought of you when he came on, James. I was watching. I was like, James, going to say something about the oil?
Yeah. I was like looking at him like, he doesn't look oiled up enough. Don't they get that special oil that he puts on?
Maybe it wasn't allowed through customs.
Maybe that was that. And Mark Taylor is like, oh, look, I'm sorry, guys, I couldn't bring the oil this week. Well, you're not starting. I think the Springbok first five. Is it Feinberg-Mngomezulu?
Yes.
Yeah, he is a very special player. I was just watching him, and I just thought, this kid's just got something superior and something X factor about him. Looks like he's got all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He was just incredible, and I think you've got a first five for the next 10, 15 years if you want him, and that's...
Get him a Kiwi wife. Get him over here.
Yeah. Has he thought of coming to New Zealand? That's the offer that we're putting out there to him.
I think he will be in a green jersey. He certainly does look like he makes quick decisions, and yes, I'm just trying to think. It was Fussy that made the wrong call in terms of passing to the outside when the try was on the inside. But other than that, I think Sasha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has got a bright future, and he's certainly a once in a generation type player. I really thought TJ brought a lot of passion to the All Blacks game. So I think from leading the haka to actually just gearing up as a forward. It's always strange, how the impact that the scrum half has on a backer forward. So, from a box supporter side, he looked like he was making a difference there.
Okay, my last question for you both is, what do these teams need to do for the next test?
From my side,
stop that smile. Look at that smile. He's being very polite to us. He's.
I actually think one of the things now, the referee,
get more sausages.
The referee interpretation, even though the box came out, on the winning side, it struck me that the decisions seem to all be around the tackle or the ruck situation, or mostly. I don't know. I want to go back and have a look at it, but I think that there were very, very few other technical penalties given, specifically around the scrum. I thought both ways there were a number of scrums. I think once the box had a knee on the ground, so it could have been a penalty against the box. Several occasions, the All Black front rower had his elbow on the ground, which could have been a penalty. None of those were given. And I don't know whether that was that's just the style of the referee, and what it did was it made it an open playing game. But it is just different. And so I'm wondering what the next referee, what the quirks of that referee will be. So that's the first thing the box will need to do, is to understand that referee's likes, dislikes, and normal habits. And then in terms of the team selection, if I were the coach, I would keep this squad. I know that Rusty is the coach, and he will not keep the squad intact for next week. It's basically the one thing you can count on. So I expect we will probably see different players coming on. And if I have to think about who, maybe it's in the midfield, Lukan Yuan coming in for something different, and Mapimpi coming back in. Mapimpi yesterday scored 4 tries in a provincial game. So, so I think that's it. And maybe Willie Leroux back at
the Bri.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
It's a good shout. Yeah, well, one of the first things I just wanted to say was congrats to Ibn Ibn. I always forget it. Ibn Ibn. We'll leave that in. It's a bit. I have to say, well done on becoming the second most capped Springbok of all time. I think he'll come into the squad. That's a given. He is just an absolute animal. So he'll come back to start. For the All Blacks, there's a lot of small tweaks I like to say. I like the balance on what they've got, but I want to see more changes to the bench. I want to see Jacobson come in for Finau. With Talia, I just don't know what to do there with that final spot. I'd even go as far, maybe do they give Proctor a go off the bench just for some point of difference to run off Geordie Barrett, but then you've got Anton Leonard-Brown on the bench, and I'm not sure what Anton Leonard-Brown does there. I'd like to see him start because I feel there he does more for DMAC. And maybe switch Sam Derry to starting over Tupou Vai, but I felt Vai played a brilliant game. He does the dark arts well, and that was one thing there that I really appreciated about him. Is the longer the game got, the more he started to impact on the game with getting turnovers. So I've changed my position on Tupou Vai, not starting to now. I think he's a must-have. So, yeah.
Yep. I don't think, for me, the Boks need to do a lot. They are blessed with talent right now, and they can swap players out at will. And I don't want to be like a typical All Blacks fan and say like we were or way we used to be, because we definitely don't have that now. Like we ain't. And I do believe it's our selection policy of not being able to select players who are playing overseas that does hamstring us. And that's something Victor Matfield said when he was interviewed this week. He's like, I don't understand why you don't allow yourselves to pick the best players you have. But, that's something for Mark Robertson and the New Zealand Rugby Union to think over. But just change it, mate. Sort your shit out.
No, I actually am worried. I picked that the Boks would win the game at Ellis Park. I'm really concerned about the game in Cape Town. I think there's a lot more All Black supporters in Cape Town. So that home
more
ground
than the 3
advantage
that were at Ellis Park?
Yes. So the home ground advantage would certainly be somewhat diminished in comparison to Ellis Park, and the Boks have got a history of not pitching up twice. Although what I forgot to say is this is the third time in a row that the Boks beat the All Blacks. So this is a three game winning streak. So that is good. So can they make it a 4-match winning streak? I don't know.
Put the knife in, Andries. Put the knife in.
And if there's one team that you talk about history that's been, breaking records, it is the Boks, They were the first team to win a World Cup from losing a game. They, so all the history counts for nothing when you have a team that's at the top of its game. They change history.
Actually, I just remembered there will be probably another change in the Springbok team for next week. I don't think Siya Kolisi will play next week.
Oh.
Yes, I think he picked up a cheekbone fracture in the game.
He'll play.
Yes.
He'll play. He's tough. He's tough, Siya Kolisi. Bit of water.
Give him DuPont's mask.
I was looking at him after the match in the post-match interview, and he was just looking a little bit strange. And then I read up, it was like, yeah, he's got a broken cheekbone potentially. It's like, oh, okay, yes, that would explain why his face looks different.
Yeah. Oh, good on him.
So
Good on.
hopefully hopefully he heals up well. Absolutely no doubt that next week would be a humdinger, and I'd be keen on hearing people's predictions in terms of what they think, perhaps in the comments about what the score lines will be next week.
Well, funny you mentioned that. There was one person who mentioned the Boks to win by 14 points in both games.
Whoa. No, I think the history is more like there's less than 3 points in it.
Yeah.
This is correct.
Yeah. I think it is going to be a real close one. I think I'll use TAB terms, 12 and under. I think that'll be the scoreline to either team. It could go either way because it's going to go 80 minutes. We know that. But also make sure there to follow us on our socials on Instagram. So we've got it down there at WMSA Podcast. Join us on Insta. Come and have a chat with us as well. If you want to give us some stick, give us some stick. Same in the comments on YouTube. Bring it.
That's it. And our names are there, so you can actually name us as opposed to the guy in the All Blacks jersey. So, feel free to tell us what you think. We're not professionals, but neither are you, so we'll give it back to you.
Yeah.
Unless that one guy was actually Abkh's name on.
Oh, wouldn't that be good?
Maybe. That would be awesome.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It was more pleasure than the result of the game, but have a great Sunday, and we will chat again soon.
Thank
you
you
this
very
week,
much.
mate.